Story number one. AITA for ordering alcohol. I'm currently on a solo trip in Tenerife, all inclusive to save having to look for places to eat by myself. The hotel has club-style seating, meaning that all tables are tables of 8 and people get sat together. Apparently, it's to encourage a sense of community and conversation. Last night, I was seated first and had a glass of wine. A family of 5 got seated at my table, 2 adults and 3 children. The mother turned to me and said, "We do not wish to expose our children to women drinking alcohol." I smiled and said perhaps they should ask to move tables if it was an issue, but I would be drinking the wine. They noticed I was on my own and made passive-aggressive comments about this. I went up to get food, and on return the wine had disappeared. A waiter came over and asked to see my wristband for the all-inclusive, and said the family had told him I was underage and must have sneaked away from my parents. He was very apologetic and returned with a fresh glass of wine just as the family came back with their food. AITA for then requesting the waiter brought me the full bottle along with a couple of shots of vodka. The family stormed out the restaurant when I drank the shots as they arrived at the table. Story number 2. AITA for not waiting for my friend at the airport. Me and a group of friends are going to Tokyo, Japan soon. One of our friends lives in Japan and is taking a 2.5-hour midday domestic flight. We have to wake up at 5 a.m. and take a 12-hour flight from California. Our friend who lives in Japan is arriving 2 hours after us and expects us to wait for him so that we can take a cab together to the Airbnb, insisting that it is a common courtesy to do so. He says that after immigration and customs, we won't even be waiting that long for him. But after an early morning and a long flight, I feel that his insistence on us waiting is unfair. So I told him that we are not waiting for him. This upset him because he said he'd do the same if the roles were reversed. But I wouldn't expect him to wait for me. Story number 3. AITA for using a family name for my baby's middle name, even though it's the same as a friend's baby's middle name. I recently shared with a friend my dream name for the baby my fiancé and I are expecting, and it contains family names from both of our families. She later texted me to ask if I was really using our planned middle name, because it was the same as the middle name she had picked out for her baby. The middle name we both had picked is extremely common and happens to be a family name for both my friend and me. My fiancé and I don't see any issue with our kids having the same middle name, maybe a first name but not a middle name, especially since the name holds meaning to both of us. She was upset over it, and after I was hesitant to give up my family name, she passively-aggressively said she'd change her baby's name. So they're not the same. I can kind of see where she's coming from, because I know she's upset that we're pregnant at the same time, and said she just wanted her own middle name. But it breaks my heart to think about not being able to honor my specific family members with that name, since it's been my dream since before I was pregnant, or being blamed for her having to change her baby's name. Story number 4. AITA for refusing to help my roommate move out after they broke our lease early. I'm 26F and have been living with a roommate for almost 2 years. We renewed our lease back in March for another full year. Things were pretty normal, no major drama. We split rent and utilities evenly and mostly did our own thing. A few weeks ago, my roommate got a new job in another city. Cool, good for them. But they gave me 2 weeks' notice that they were moving out and had already spoken to the landlord about getting their name off the lease. No plan, no subletta lined up, nothing. Just, I figured you could cover things for a while until you find someone. I told them that wasn't going to work for me. I didn't agree to live alone, and I definitely can't afford this place on my own. They brushed it off and basically said I should be supportive of their big opportunity and that I'd figure something out. Fast forward to moving day, and they asked if I'd help them carry furniture, load the U-Haul, clean, etc. I told them no. I said I didn't feel right helping out after the way they left me with everything. They got really cold after that and told some of our mutual friends that I was being bitter and making their move more stressful out of spite. Now, some people are saying I should have just helped to be the bigger person and that it wouldn't have killed me to lift a few boxes. Others agree with me and say it was pretty bold of them to expect help after bailing. So, AITA for refusing to help my roommate move out after they dumped a lease on me. Story number 5. AITA for being cold to a customer. I'm 25M and work at a gas station. Standard cashier, and obviously I have to deal with customers. This particular customer I cannot stand and actively treat him differently from others. Why? It's because of the way he talked about my younger cousin. It was a while back when he did this. She was walking out of the store, and he said some pretty disgusting things, how he'd tear it up, and oh, gross things about how good she looks. And what'd he do? This obviously set me off because A, he knows her mom. He watched her grow up. And B, at the time I thought she was only 16. I was wrong, she's 18. Still thinking she's 16, I told him she was only 16, and he wanted to argue me down, saying no, she's 18 over and over. And I kind of brushed him off at the time, saying something like, sure, dude, try and stay calm. He even came back and said, ha, I told you she was 18. Like this was supposed to be a kind of gotcha moment. Again, I brushed him off wanting to keep my job. Of course, I also told my younger cousin about this because this was really freaking gross. Ever since then, I've actively treated him different. More cold, less friendly. Not reply when he greets me just enough to let him know I don't like him, but not enough to risk my job. Here's where I think I might be the unholy. A bit ago, he came to my store again, and I did the usual thing of being cold. Pretty sure he's picked up on it, and he kind of directly asked why am I being so cold to him. And I kind of crashed out a bit. I told him he was gross. How nasty is to talk about women in general the way he did? But especially a young girl, he's like 68 or something, and my cousin is only 18. I also told him how pathetic he is for talking like that, and that we are not on friendly terms, and that I'd rather him not speak to me and to just get the 3 beers he always gets and fucking leave. He kind of froze there, like a deer in headlights. And all he said was, I'm sorry, and it was just guy talk, or whatever. I'm a guy and I get like the occasional, oh, that person is good looking, or wow, I'd like to take that out type stuff. And maybe MAYB being a tad bit explicit, I'm no angel. But this was just gross. Anyways, that's the gist of what happened. AITA for being cold to a customer, TLDR customer being gross to a younger family member of mine, and I got mad. Formatting weird, cause on mobile, etc., etc. Story number 6. AITA for asking my postpartum friend when her baby bump will go away. My 30M friend Rachel, 30F, just had a baby a little over a month ago. Yesterday, a bunch of our friends were on a Zoom call to catch up, which we do pretty often. Rachel was on the Zoom with her baby. Throughout the call, she was feeding and changing the baby, etc. I started wondering and asked her when her baby bump will go away. My friends instantly, mostly all other girls, but also one other guy, went into how that was something that I should not have said, and it is extremely disrespectful to ask her that. I didn't have any ill intentions in asking. My questions were regarding when the umbilical cord / placenta / amniotic fluid will finally leave her system. If she stubbed her toe, and I asked when she can expect the swelling to go down, no one would act like I was being rude. If I asked when will the bump go away 7 months later, when it's clearly wait, it would be rude. I ended up apologizing at the urging of my other friends. But while I understand that they were offended by my question, I still think it was a reasonable thing to ask. AITA? Story number 7. AITA for leaving dinner early after my boyfriend's friend introduced me as the current one. So my boyfriend, 31M, invited me to dinner with his old college group. One of his female friends, 30F, who I've never met before, came late, looked me up and down, then said, oh, so you're the current one. Cute. I was stunned. No one laughed. No one corrected her. My boyfriend just kind of chuckled awkwardly and changed the subject. I sat there in silence for another 20 minutes before excusing myself and leaving. I took an Uber home. He called me later and said I embarrassed him by making a thing and that I should have just been chill because she didn't mean anything by it. He wants me to apologize to her for walking out like a child. AITA for not tolerating that kind of blatant disrespect. Story number 8. AITA. Wife turned down dream job with a better schedule and higher salary. No a-holes here. Background information. I am 30M teacher, currently in graduate school to pursue being a principal. My wife, 29F, a physical therapist. We have 2 kids aged 3.5 and 2. Both were adopted. Wife currently works at a nonprofit as a PT. Last August, she turned down a PT job at a local school district that would have paid her 30% more than she currently brings home. Currently brings home $65K, could have made $85K. Her current job gives 2 weeks vacation and covers part of her insurance premium. They do not offer any retirement matching. She currently works 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. On Friday, she works as a pediatric PT as a 1099 employee and claims to enjoy it. The school job would have covered her entire health insurance premium monthly and also offered a pension plan. The school job schedule would have been 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, with holidays breaks and summers off just like a teacher's schedule. She would have had all the same breaks that I do as a teacher. I currently work at the same district that the job was at. Before everyone attacks me, I am very familiar with how this job is. Her best friend wound up taking the position after she declined. I see her friend at my building, sometimes rolling in close to 9 a.m. to start the day. I do realize that most of the patients she would see are on an IEP. But considering she sees patients now that are also difficult, I am just super puzzled on the decision. One last thing. I have also gotten a weird feeling about her infatuation with her boss at her current job. He is married and has kids. Seems like a nice guy. I've never thought he seemed flirty towards her when I've been around, but she does seem to hold him in such high esteem almost in a strange way. He is about 10 to 12 years older than both of us. Long story short, she turned down that job because she claimed she wouldn't enjoy that type of environment for doing PT work. Here's the part one really struggle with. My wife is constantly stressed about working and juggling two kids. We are getting close to being financially able for her to work part-time. However, she is constantly negative and very critical of me and others. We have to walk on eggshells around her. Anytime we have an argument about chores or other household duties, she immediately attacks me with, "You have more time off, so you should do them all." I agree, I do have more time off. I enjoy my schedule that allows me to be with my family more. I was previously in sales working weekends, sometimes until 10 p.m. often before having kids. I probably do about 95% of the dishes and cleaning and 70% of the laundry. I also do our finances and grocery store runs. I pick up the kids from daycare and drop them off frequently. Anytime we get into an argument, I really have to bite my tongue about her complaining about not having any free time when she turned down that job. In my mind, she forfeited the right to complain about not having free time. AITA? Story number 9. AITA for refusing to let my girlfriend have my late grandma's heirloom ring after she demanded it for our future engagement. I, 28M, was super close to my grandma, who passed away last year. She left me her heirloom ring, a family treasure passed down for generations, because she said I was the one who truly valued its history. I've kept it safe in her memory and plan to use it if I ever propose to someone special. Here's the drama. My girlfriend Sarah, 26F, and I have been together for 2 years. Recently, she's been pushing hard for us to get engaged. Last week, she found out about the heirloom ring and demanded I give it to her now because it's meant for the woman you marry, and that's me. I told her I'm not ready to propose yet and want to keep the ring until the time feels right. She flipped out, saying I'm stringing her along and that keeping the ring from her shows I don't trust her with my family's legacy. To make matters worse, Sarah went behind my back and told my parents, who are now pressuring me to give her the ring to prove my commitment and avoid a breakup. Sarah's also been venting on social media about ungrateful partners, and some of her friends are messaging me, saying I'm being a jerk for withholding the ring. I feel like Sarah is trying to guilt me into proposing before I'm ready, and I don't want to part with something so sentimental until I'm sure. AITA for refusing to give her the ring? Story number 10. AITA for asking my guy friends to use the bathroom rather than the yard? I hosted a house party for my 19th birthday the other day. For context, I'm a girl. The party was a mix of guys and girls, probably about 40 guests in total. The majority of the party was hosted in my backyard. It's quite spacious. Obviously, there was a lot of drinking, legal here in Australia. My house has 2 bathrooms, both of which were open for use. However, when I walked around the side of my house, I was shocked to notice a few of the guys peeing up against the wall of the house, so that their streams were gushing onto the concrete below. I was really disgusted. It was obvious that it had been a popular bathroom spot, since the whole floor was soaked with pee. Another one of my friends came over, and I asked him, "Hey, can you go inside if you're going to pee?" And he just said, "Oh, I'll be quick, don't worry," and then started peeing. I gave up at that point and just went back to the party. I didn't really want it to spoil the night. I was a bit frustrated. Is this normal behavior for guys? I just think it's a bit disgusting. If you're going to pee outside, at the very least surely just pee against a tree or in the bushes or something, rather than just straight onto the wall of the house. I assume it was because it was dark/secluded, but still, gross. I asked some of my other girlfriends. They agreed it was gross. A couple of my guy friends just shrugged and said it's no big deal.